We're back again with Nebraska, thinking that this is maybe their year. And it's easy to see why, because every year when you have a struggling year, the next year brings so much potential as to, can this be our year? Can we be better? Can we get back to where we need to be? And Nebraska is not going to get there in one year, but Matt Rule has a proven track record that should have fans really excited. We're going to start with the defensive side of the ball. Quentin Newsom comes back at corner, 6'1", 180 pounds, and solid production last year for this secondary. I think the secondary is pretty underrated, honestly, when you look at the guys they have coming back. Newsom is one of those guys. Defending the pass maybe isn't the most difficult that it's been, unless you're facing certain teams like Ohio State, but having the secondary be able to be an elite group or be a successful group, I don't think there's going to be too many elite things with Nebraska this year. But maybe they'll have guys that'll step up and surprise us. Quentin Newsom is one of those guys that could take a step forward. And there's certain players that you maybe don't know too much right now, but they could step up and become household names when it's all said and done. One of the bigger players that they got out of the transfer portal, Gilbert, comes in from Georgia after transferring from LSU. It just didn't really work out at Georgia. There's certain things going on off the field that probably still need to get figured out. But the talent on the field when he's playing at his best is so exciting. It's super explosive, and he's a monster. 6'6", 260 pounds. On paper, you get excited because you know what he could do. You know what he's capable of. It's just a matter of playing. And now we haven't seen him play for a while. I mean, last year he had 2 catches with Georgia, but you need to see him on the field. And if this offense can take a step forward, is because guys like Gilbert are stepping up and making plays. Now, the defense also needs to do their part, and having certain veterans back, such as Ty Robinson, will be huge. Robinson is another big body, 6'6", 310 pounds. I think that he is an underrated player. You look at what he's done in his career, maybe not the most productive player, but someone who has a veteran presence. He's played quite a few snaps. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what to do. And now you have Matt Rule coming in to turn things around, and having certain veterans back can help kind of push that message. Now, a guy that comes in at wide receiver that I think flies under the radar simply because last year wasn't his best year is Billy Kemp. You look at, he has 1,700 yards in his career, 8 touchdowns. It probably is going to be a solid option in the slot for Nebraska. It's just, again, a matter of how do they take that step forward. We haven't seen a Nebraska team consistently take a step forward. We didn't see it under Scott Frost. And now we get an opportunity to start over new, to start fresh. And I think Billy Kemp can be a good weapon, a good possession player for this offense, for this passing attack. And with the quarterback, we'll talk about a little bit, he needs someone that can be his reliable target when things break down. Now, keeping him upright is probably the biggest thing that they can do. And Bryce Banhart comes back for yet another season, and we talk about size. Holy cow, we've had quite a few players already. We talked about Gilbert, we talked about Robinson. Banhart is right up there, 6'9", 315 pounds. The junior from Lakeville, Minnesota, is an experienced player with 35 games under his belt, and he is back to help this offense get back to where they want to be, to get this offense where it needs to be, and to help the quarterback feel comfortable and make big plays. That's going to be the biggest thing for Nebraska, I think. You're looking at a program that desperately needs some success, and a program whose fan base has been just honestly dying for some success, some consistent play, and they just haven't received that. So now you get the fact that they get some of this talent returning. You get a coach with a proven track record. This is the biggest thing that I need people to understand. Scott Frost did not have the proven track record. Yes, he did turn around UCF and turn them into an explosive team. But what Matt Rule has done has taken essentially disastrous programs and turned them into winners. And it's not going to happen overnight, like I said. So don't everybody get on everyone right away if Nebraska goes 4-8, 5-7, something like that. Matt Rule really does his work in years 2+. And you've seen him do that at the college level, at least, and they're going to do it again. Now, defense is going to play a big role in that. You look at what he did at Baylor and at Temple, defense was a big player in that. And Nick Henrich comes back to be one of those playmakers that I think to me will have a major impact on whether or not this defense as a whole is better. And you look at what, like I said before, Rules defenses had certain playmakers that were just consistent. They maybe weren't the most talented athletically, which Henrich doesn't really fit that role in terms of underrated athlete. I think that he's super talented. I think he has good athleticism, and he's going to be someone that can really thrive with Rule watching over him. And another guy that can do that is Luke Reimer. You look at what he's done in his career, 245 tackles, 15 and a half tackles for loss. He is a veteran presence. He is someone who knows how to make plays, and that's going to be huge for a defense that needs guys to step up. And speaking of stepping up, we talked about this. I think that Jeff Sims could be one of the more exciting quarterbacks in college football. I know a lot of NFL draft people are talking about him. I don't think that's going to happen this year. Next year is probably really where he takes that step. Now, what he can do as a passer is going to have a bigger impact than what he does as a runner. I think that he's extremely explosive as a runner, and you've seen some of the talent and some of the ball skills as he that has as a passer, and you see the frame 6'4", 220 pounds. He has all the tools to be an experienced and or to be a talented and explosive playmaker. You just need to see it. Now, Rule comes in and hopefully provides some of that stability. So we'll see what happens there. Now, a guy that I really like, maybe he's too high on this list, but I'm a big fan. Marquez Buford Jr., safety out of DeSoto, Texas, is back for another year. And I think at times, a lot of these guys, we saw flashes of what they could do. Marcus Buford is one of those players. He's a playmaker that does a little bit of everything for this defense. And I think that he is in store for a big year with what Rule can do. I think that Matt Rule's presence alone and his culture creates better players. And you're going to see that as a whole. I think that you're going to see a better Nebraska team. And even if it's not the great team that everybody wants them to be, you're going to see a step forward because Marquez Buford and guys like him are stepping up and making bigger plays than they did last year. I think Buford was an underrated talent last year, and he comes into 2023 as an underrated player as well. I'm a big fan of his game, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Now, a player who could have a massive year is Anthony Grant. Now, he did rush for 915 yards last year, but I think that when you look at what Matt Rule has done at his previous stops, running back could be a position that benefits a lot. And Anthony Grant is extremely talented, and I think that he has the potential to be one of the best players, one of the best running backs in college football. I think that he has that talent, and yes, a lot of that will probably depend on what Jeff Sims can do. But I think that he is someone who can take a step forward, who can be an explosive weapon, and someone who I'm really excited to see what he has left in the tank, what he can do under this new regime to help his draft stock too. I think he's shown, like I said, we talk about a lot of these guys showing flashes, and he's another one of those players that showed flashes that could have a big year. And that's going to be a big thing is what does this team do as a whole to take steps forward? What do certain individuals do to take steps forward? And how do they benefit from doing certain things better than they did last year? This is a program that desperately wants success. They want to get back to where they need to be, but they're just not quite there yet. Give it some time. Matt Rule will figure things out. Matt Rule will get the job done. And then once it's all said and done and we see what the product is, you're going to kind of laugh that you were worried about it when you looked at year one under Matt Rule.